Well, friends, let's begin the game of communication. Well, why do I call it a game of communication? Simply because we have been playing it and we have been learning communication while playing. Remember, the very first time you came into this world, you announced your presence with communicating with the world, your first cry. Post that, you have been communicating without fail. And then suddenly you realize that somebody comes forward and says, well, you need to work a little bit on your communication. And you are taken aback. I have been communicating all through my childhood, all through my early years of adulthood, and suddenly I have to learn communication. Today's session is on group discussion, interview skills, and resumes. And all these stem out from verbal and written communication. So let me just briefly summarize things for you. When we talk about the need to learn communication skills, it is because somewhere during the learning process, we only learned to communicate our needs. We somewhere down the line forgot that it is about his need, her need, their need, your need. And therefore, when people say that work a little bit on your communication skills, it means start listening to people. Start arranging your thoughts. Start pausing before you talk so that you are empathetic towards people with whom you speak, so that a team is formed and you are not an island in this world. That's how important communication skills is. I received several questions on listening skills, then on verbal and written communication, how to work around it. Students, when you are talking and you feel that you cannot hold a communication for more than 2-3 minutes in a group, anticipate what the person wants to know or what the person is telling. Anticipate, focus on what he is saying. Create an internal review and then ask a question. The same would go for listening skills also. So when you have to, I had questions asking how to improve your listening skills. So when you talk about the listening skills, again, if you're in a seminar, in a presentation, and you feel that your attention span is very less over there, once again, anticipate what the person is saying, review, create an internal summary yourself and see if you have understood him or her. If you haven't, raise a query. When you raise a query, remember, if you're working on your listening skills or communication skills, it should not be to corner the person. It should be a genuine request. It should be a genuine concern. It is only then that the person would be obliged to take your concern and answer it. So when we talk about listening skills, what we need to do is, again, take some notes. Take down some notes, create internal summary, review, raise queries. If you want to improve your reading skills, again, do the same things. Anticipate. Anticipate what the author may have wanted to say. And then go ahead with the reading, thinking whether your analysis and the author's analysis are on the same page, are in the same line. Look for signposts. A question which I got regarding reading skills was, I lose concentration. Well, if it is a professional document, you cannot afford to lose concentration. So in that case, create a conducive atmosphere, set milestones for the day, and then work towards it. Keep taking notes so that you would know what is important. If it is for personal gratification and luxury, again, choose a relaxing atmosphere and then work towards it. When we have worked upon verbal, written, and listening skills, we must move on to resume writing. Again, a very standard question which had come my way was, what is the difference between resume, CV, and biodata? Okay, friends, just tell me, would you send your resume for your wedding proposal? Any one of you? No, you wouldn't send your resume for your wedding proposal. You would send your biodata if it is not a love marriage, right? So that is the difference between a resume and a biodata. Resume is the summary of your professional skills and experiences, targeted, customized to get that job. And that is why they say a resume should never be more than 1 or at the max 2 pages. It would include a very brief summary of yours, your personal life, R-E-S-U-M-A. So what are you looking for over there? It is a representation of your personal life or personal skills. E would stand for exemplifying your professional skills. S, very important in a resume, is the survey of opportunity. You need to know what opportunity is there, and does it connect with your skills, or can it connect with your skills? Unless and until you have surveyed that opportunity, it would be difficult for you to write a target-oriented resume for that particular job. U is the unique selling point. M is the mementos, the laurels which you may have received during that time. So this is how all these would work. And E, again, very important, the way you draft your resume, it should communicate your integrity, so you establish trust over there. What is a CV? CV is, it could run into pages. It is the entire knowledge of what you have done, your education. Over there, you could write about all that you have done in your professional life, the places that you may have worked, the projects that you may have worked upon. So that is the difference between resume and CV. Biodata would deal with your personal details as well, where you were born, what was the date of your born, what was the place of your born if you want to. So if you want to include all these things, would come in your biodata. So when they ask you to send your biodata, always remember what they are looking at. When they ask you to send your resume, it means it has to be an extensive thing. And if they ask you to send your resume, please, not more than 1 page at your level. And if you have a lot of valid experiences, then perhaps 2 pages. Group discussion and interview skills. I'm sorry. Group discussion and interview skills. Well, before I move into the realm of group discussion and interview skills, let me go to one of the centers and see how many of you have tuned in. Hi, I remember you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So, any question for
Ma'am,
me?
can you guess who is with me?
Thank you so much, darling. I think my work is done. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you here, dear.
Yeah.
Lovely to have you, dear. Good. So this is what we had wanted to achieve from these courses, and we have done it. So question.
So my question is that while entering inside the interview room, does our body language gives some impression at the time of entering the room or exiting after the interview? And if it matters, then how we should improve it?
Your interview begins the moment you step into that room. So the way you announce yourself inside the room, the way you open the door, and you look at your the panel is the place from where they have started interviewing you. So look at them, sweep them with your gaze, come inside, stand smartly, and then wish them all. So this is how you should begin. Post that, wait for a few seconds, and they will ask you to sit down, to be seated. If they don't, then perhaps you may say, may I please sit down? Okay? So this is how you would enter into the room. Fine? Any other question?
Madhuri has.
Yes, Madhuri.
When HR manager, someone manager asks us tell about yourself, then which things needs to be
Told.
say
Right?
by me or someone else?
Okay, so you want to know the answer to tell me something about yourself, right? In an interview.
Yes.
So, you know, most of the details are already there in the resume. Over there, what you need to do is what your personal attribution is. You know, the personal skill, the life skills, or your passion. You can connect it with whatever is there in the resume. So like generally if I am asked, my resume would say PhD in English, Masters from JNU. You know, that way it would go. So when I am asked to introduce myself or tell me something about yourself, I would connect the institutions that I have been to the kind of work I am doing. I would say I'm Dr. Leena Jha, as the resume states, and my master's in JNU and my PhD from Bihar University sensitized me to the polarities in the academic atmosphere. I have worked at several levels which made me aware how important it is to help students communicate, and that is why the paradigm shift from English literature to business communication. So you know what I have done? I have communicated my needs, I have communicated my work with something which is practical enough. You know, for this answer, tell me something about yourself. Why should we take you? What are your strengths and weaknesses? These are staple questions. They would be asked. So you need to sit down and write them down. Once you have written them, that is not the final answer. You have to write, revisit it, rewrite it, get the essence and crux of it, and then it is a final answer. Final answer for the interview which you are going for. Now let us suppose you have suddenly filled up forms wherein one company is based on marketing, the other has analytics, the other is a media company. You will have to customize your resume as per the needs of that particular company. Always remember that. You cannot have just one resume as final. Yes, the basics would remain the same, but the language and the way you would approach it will have to differ. It will not need much practice. It will not need much time, but it would need your dedication. You need to think, sit down and think, what is it and why is it that I want to join this company? And what is it for that I want to join this company? And then frame your resume around that. Is that clear, Madhvi?
Yes.
Yeah? Are you satisfied, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely
Yes.
to see you here. Lovely to see you here. I'm so happy today. Thank you so much. Any other question?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Amrita Vishwavidyalaya. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, dear. Maybe have your question?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, in a resume, if we are interested in a technical field, how do we write it down? Actually, like, I'm interested in many fields, but how do I write it down in that resume?
So what you need to do is
To
you
be
must,
specific.
yes. So you may have done a project. If you're interested in something, what interested you? So you may have done a project to decide that you wish to be in the technical side. So is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now what you would do is when you are writing when you're writing something about that particular project, be a little elaborate over there. Maybe a couple of lines which would say that I did this and this is what inspires me to join your company. Fine. So the moment you say that, they would know that you are in for that technical job. And believe me, if you write this in your resume, in the interview, they are bound to ask you, okay, well, you wish to be in the technical side, but at the moment, we do not have any vacancy in the technical side. Would you be willing to work in the marketing side? Now, this is a very tricky question, dear. There are two aspects of this question. One is they want to see whether you are willing to learn and shift in other departments also. Or is it purely technical? Now, with you, it is for you to take the call. If you are absolutely sure that it is the technical aspect where you need to work, you need to let them know. You need to tell them, sir, well, the company has a big name. I know my learning would be exponentially high here. So if marketing is where I need to be, I could, but I would appreciate that whenever there is a chance, I be shifted to the technical aspect, technical side of it. So now this shows, because with technical aspect, there'll come a time when you'll have to know about marketing also, when you'll have to know about administration also. As you go higher up, these things have to be there and you'll have to learn all these things. So this is one call which you have to take, and if you mention it in the resume, that way you should be prepared for a question like this in your interview. Okay? Do I answer your question?
Okay, ma'am.
Perfect?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So write that down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, dear? Thank you. Do we have any other question from the center?
Thank you.
Okay, AKS University. Welcome. Any question, dear? I'm sorry, your audio is not working. Could you please check the audio? Well, AKS, we'll come back to you. The audio is not working. Please set it right. Okay? Thank you. Which is somebody there?
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, dear. Maybe have your question?
My name is Vamsi and I'm from
Sorry, you didn't
Rajiv
get
Gandhi
your...
Institute of Technology, which is in Mumbai.
Sorry, I didn't get your name, please.
My name is Vamsi.
Vamsi. Okay, Vamsi. Tell me.
Yeah. So I know, ma'am, this question might be too early for me, but one question which I have is how do you bargain your salary? I mean, though they mention the salary in the particular application, but how do you bargain the salary?
At your level, it is not the salary which matters. At a fresher's level, it is not the salary which matters, and it is very difficult to bargain your salary. So, better answer, if it is in the resume, that you have to answer this particular question, I would suggest find out the market rate, find out what you're worth from other organizations, from people who are working in that particular organization, and maybe 20% extra from it, whatever you find the rate, okay? So just make it 15 to 20% extra, because they are going to negotiate. Fine? That is one point. It would also depend on how desperate you are to join that organization. So over there, you could also write negotiable. Unless and until they have asked you to mention the amount, you could also write negotiable. Now, the moment you write your salary out there, you should know that they are going to ask a question on that. They might just say, we are getting people for that particular, you have asked for a higher salary. And, that is not what it is given out there. So over there, you could say, so whatever is the market rate in your, I would be happy to work. I would be to work with this organization. And you do realize that frustration should not be a part of the work. So whatever is the market rate, whatever is the company is giving, should be, I should have the best that the company has to offer. Because I come here to give my 100%, and I would not like that kind of frustration to set into me so early in my job. Okay? So is that clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Now, which college is this? Hello, good morning. 1380. Can you hear me? Am I audible? The video is, I'm sorry, we are unable to see you clearly. We are unable to hear you. Please check your mic and your videos. IIS, University Jaipur. Friends, I request you all, please check your audios and videos. IIS University, I cannot see you. You need to adjust the video. You need to adjust the camera. My dear, the mic is also not working. We'll get back. We'll get back. Okay. All the centers and all the participants, it's a genuine request. Please check your mics. Please check your cameras. We want to see you and we want to be there for you all. In the meanwhile, I'm going to take up a question which was posted on the discussion forum by Amrish Sahu. How can we present ourselves during the interview in terms of our attitude when we don't have much to present in our CV? Very interesting question, and that too, if you are a fresher, you would definitely have this question in mind. Well, as a fresher, they would be watching you for your academics, for your co-curricular activities, for the projects that you may have done, and of course, the way you present yourself in the interview. So there could be some questions which you wouldn't be able to answer. But then, what you need to do is work on the current affairs, work on the project that you may have done, and establish the work you exclusively did in that project. You need to show your readiness to learn over there. You need to show the awareness about the environment, the current affairs, the politics, and all these would help you sail through your interviews, because when the interviewers are interviewing you, they would know that these are the things which you need to know, and anything beyond that is definitely not, is surely not in your repertoire. They are merely asking to test how much you know, how far you had gone in whatever learning you present in your resume. So if you are unable to answer a couple of questions in your interview, don't panic. Don't panic. One thing I would suggest, don't beat around the bush. Now let us suppose for one of the questions, if they've asked you some question and you feel that you had done it, you cannot recall it now, tell them so. Because then they would give you some hints, drop some hints. If you are still unable to recall, just tell them so. That you did it, you are unable to recall it right now. Maybe because you did not get the chance to put it into practice. Now, if you do not know an answer, if you do not know an answer completely, don't waste time. Tell them you do not know, so that they can move on to a different question. Another question was how to keep up your points in a group discussion, or that you have ideas in your mind but you are afraid to put it in the group, in front of the group. Friends, in a group discussion, that too for a selection process, if you don't talk, you don't make it. There isn't a chance that you would make it. And therefore it is important not to keep that idea inside the mind. You have to say it come what way and in any which way. So you have to say it. Now, how would you say it? Let us suppose you are reticent. So in that case, what you could do is, you could just put up your hands and tell them. All these things have been discussed in our videos also. You can just put up the hands and tell them that you need to talk, you have a very important point to make, and you must be given the chance to speak. Now, if there was another question on the forum which said, if we do not have any point to contribute in the GD, how do we go about it? Well, for that, let me ask you another question. Have you understood the topic of the GD? If you have not understood the topic of the GD, you need to find out in the very beginning from the initiator, what does the topic mean? Right? That is very important. Post that, we have given you the formula, pestle formula, wherein you think about the political aspect. Does the topic has any political bearing? Does anything come to your mind? E, economic, any economic ramification. S, social. T, technological. L, legal. And E, environmental. So the moment you think about these things, you will definitely get a point. Believe me, you will definitely get a point. So always remember this particular formula when you're there for a group discussion. There was this very interesting question. Practicing a bicycle is fun and learning. Communication is boring. So make it interesting. Well, we do want you to learn to communicate, but at the same time, we do not want to take out the fun element from it. We just want to make that fun element a little wider. Give it a little wider premises. So, if you cannot sit down at one place and read a book, fine. Ask somebody or watch it somewhere. That is just to begin with. This has to be done later. You will have to sit down and read a book because nobody is going to talk about the document. You'll have to read the documents and then sign it later in your career. So that kind of dedication has to come. But for the beginning, you could start by communicating in the group in that particular format, being courteous, being logical, watching your tone for it, watching your pronunciation for it, and allowing others to correct you. There should be some people in your group whom you trust, and they should be allowed to correct you and therefore help you with communication. Later, obviously you need to listen to the news, you need to read articles, you need to read newspaper, create an internal summary of it and talk it loud, record it, and then view it so that you would know how you exactly look when you talk. For the group discussion, for the interview skills, go for a mock interview, go for a mock group discussion. Because no matter how much you are attentive to the fact that it is a mock group discussion, a formality would set in. And you would forget that it is a mock group discussion or a mock interview. You would start behaving that way. And then you would come to know how exactly your body language is when you answer a particular question or when you are passionate about a particular cause. Can we go to some other centers? AKS University. Let's check AKS University if they are back with the videos and audios. Hi AKS.
Hello ma'am.
Oh, lovely to hear your voice.
Is it audible?
Yeah, very much and very clear, very confident.
Ma'am, actually my question is, what are the moments of laurel in the resume?
Okay, so just to match it with the M in the resume, I mentioned it. It is the prizes that you get, the achievements. Okay, the trophies that you may have got. So let us suppose that you are a national level badminton player. So that is something you would put on the resume, or you had won state level debate competition. So that is something you would present in the moments of laurel section. Okay, some project which may have had social impact. So that is again, and for which you may have you may have received some honor. So that would come under the moments of laurel section. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lovely, dear. Any other question from the center?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. I am Puneet Jaiswal.
Puneet, yes.
Ma'am, my question is, during the interview, when we don't know the answer of any question, then what we do at that time? As we are at that time, we also become nervous. So then what we do?
Just 5 minutes back, I had answered that question, but I would reinstate it. Okay? So if you do not know the answer altogether, right? If you have never heard about it, it is better to tell them that I'm sorry, sir, I did not get the chance to explore this avenue. I did not get the chance to read this up. It was not in our syllabus if you are at a fresher stage. Okay? Why should you do that? Why should you not beat around the bush? For the very simple reason that if you try, if you would try to beat around the bush, they would find it out. They would ask you another question and then another question, and they would realize that you're merely trying to sidetrack them. Another aspect that I would like to say, let us suppose some inkling, you may have come across that particular concept somewhere. So over there you could say, sir, I don't think I have read about it, but I would like to try. I have a hitch. It could be regarding this. So I would like to try. Okay? And then try around it. So now what happens, since you have said, I would like to try, they know that you are not beating around the bush. You are not trying to manipulate it. Fine? And it goes positively down them simply because they see you as a person who is keen to learn. Okay? You know, interview is an art. How you present something talks about your personality, talks about the way you would gel in with other team members. And that is very important. Many a times a simple no and a way to say that, well, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn definitely means that you don't know about it. But when you say I'm ready to learn, it talks about your positive nature. Okay, Puneet, have I answered your question?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Lovely, dear. Any other question from the center?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, which qualities to contribute to the development of successful and happy personality, human personality?
If you ask me, it's a very tough choice. I personally go for integrity. Okay? I personally go for integrity and respect for others, being courteous. Knowledge everybody has and we can learn. But it is how empathetic we are towards other people and how I present myself to other people is what matters for me. So for a personal life, personal happiness, this does not mean that you need to please everybody. No. Because if you stand by your ethics, there would be people who may not, who may have a different set of principles. You have a different set of principles. So if you have made somebody unhappy, okay, it should not be a cause of regret. And the person should also realize that it is not you who's making the other person happy. It is just your commitment to your personal values, which is maybe in contradiction to the commitment of the other person's personal value. This is maturity. So I'm not against any person. I'm against the personality trait maybe. Okay? So if you really wish to see you happy, time management of course is a very important thing. Time management is the most important thing. And how will you manage time? You'll manage time only when you are empathetic towards other people, you have established your integrity, and when you move into a room, you move in with positive vibes and smiles. Do I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Would you like to contribute to it?
Sure, ma'am.
Would you like to contribute something to it?
Sure, ma'am.
Temi, tell me, what is your take? What is your take on this question? If I ask you,
Sorry, ma'am.
if I ask you, what makes you a happy person, what would your answer be?
Ma'am, when other people are happy, then I will also happy.
Oh yes. Are you?
Personal
Yes, yes. So in order to do that, many a times, you should have some me time also. But I think at the moment, a bar of chocolate can also make us happy. What say?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So a bar of chocolate can also make us happy. So if you have it in your bag, Eat
Yeah,
it.
definitely, ma'am.
Eat it. We'll move to some other center for the time being. Or is there any other question out there?
Okay, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure, dear. Pleasure. Come back if you
Thank you
have
for
something. We have a question from Indraneel Bhattacharji. The question is, why do companies make sure that students don't have a gap in education? And why do they reject? If so, does it make a difference? Companies do not make sure that students have a gap in the education. It does not make a difference if you are able to establish genuinely why that gap. Earlier, the trend was immediately after your engineering or your graduation, you would get into management. Today, very many students take a gap of a couple of years, and that is being encouraged at the management level, at the business management level. But you need to show what you did in those 2 years. If you barely mention that you've been preparing for your CAT or you've been preparing for your GMAT, or you are working at your own firm, so you need to mention what you have worked in your own firm. Otherwise, if you have work experience for that gap, the company would encourage it. They will not reject you on that. Another question is there any difference between resume and CV? We have already answered this question at the beginning of the session. CV, resume is the summary, and it should not be more than a page. It is normally customized CV, customized for a particular job. In a CV, you would put in all the experiences you had and all the academic laurels that you may have achieved, everything in brief, and you may just put in all what you think is your professional skills. In a resume, you would barely mention, you would mention those briefly, and you would customize the resume in such a way that it shows your strength for that particular job. What is the formula which you gave for a GD, ma'am? The PESTLE formula, P-E-S-T-L-E. P stands for politics, E stands for economic, S social, T technological, L legal, and E again environmental. All these are very important issues, and a GD normally works around that. So you would definitely, even if you think that you do not have anything much to say in a GD, if you start thinking on these lines, you would definitely come up with some points. May we move to some other center, please? Medicap's Institute, is it? Where are we? PBGs. Oh, ye ho chuka. One 1380, have you been able to work on the audio? Sorry dear, the audio is not working. Please work on the audio. Sachit Khera had asked a question, Rahul Khanna had asked a question. I have social anxiety and I cannot talk in the GD. We have already answered this question. So even if you have social anxiety, what you need to do is organize your answer, organize your talk. You need to know what you are going to talk. Find somebody in the group, find somebody over there on whom you can concentrate your eyes. So look at that person and deliver the entire speech to begin with. Later, you could start training. Once that social anxiety is gone, you could start sweeping through people. Another question by Sona Mary Francis. How can we take seminars and presentations in class more effectively so that others are interested into it? You need to, whenever you're making a presentation, you need to establish the need for a presentation. Why did that presentation happen? Why are you going to give that presentation? So you need to talk about that. And in order to sustain the interest or awaken the interest, let us suppose when you walk in, there is a chaos in the room. So obviously when you walk in, they would keep quiet. There would be some time lapse before they start concentrating. So what you could do is you could have a dramatic opening to your presentation. So in order to sustain the interest, provide internal summary. You may raise questions, but do not wait for them to be answered. If somebody answers it, fine, but there should not be a domino effect from one to the other, because then the essence of your presentation would be lost. So, create internal summary, raise queries, and a very important aspect, do not overload your presentation. You need to be specific why that presentation, and you need to stick to that. Your delivery should be right, and when you are delivering, you should bear in mind your audience. When you are preparing your presentation, you should bear in mind your audience. For whom are you presenting? For whom are you making that presentation? Who is the audience? At what level is their education? Are they kids? Are they freshers? Is it a senior management? So you need to establish these facts and then get into the realms of presentation, and that is when you would be able to sustain it. Your voice should be warm. When I say warm, it should not be flat. And if the presentation, the topic of the presentation allows, you could have some anecdotes and some humor as well in the presentation, just to break the monotony of the voice or maybe monotony of the subject. So how comfortable you are using these tools would decide on how you would make it interesting. But rehearse and practice your presentation. It should not be that you go there and merely present. You must practice the presentation beforehand. If anybody has a question, you may suggest it. You may hand raise, please, so that we get to know which center to visit.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, tell
Yeah,
me.
ma'am. I have a question. I have a question regarding group discussion. So, in every group there is someone who dominates the discussion. And my question is how to get heard in front of panel with few valid points.
I think I just mentioned it. There definitely would be somebody who would dominate the discussion or who would try to dominate the discussion. Very aggressive. So over there, you will have to forget that, oh, my body language expert has said you should not be raising your voice. I should not be, I should be very courteous. over there, you have to put your hands up and you have to tell him, please, I'm waiting for my chance to talk. I have some valid points, I have some very important points, and I really want those 2 minutes to talk. Okay? Forget about everything, because if you do not talk, you do not get the marks. Right? What will the moderator evaluate you upon? You have not spoken. And therefore, forget the decorum for that particular second and mention it. Okay? Be clear to mention that you need those 2 minutes so that there is no interference. Okay? If somebody tries to cut you there, you may go ahead with whatever you are saying. That is only one occasion when we normally suggest that if there is somebody very dominant, you have to put your point across, come what may. Okay? Any other question?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Try that out. It's going to help you. Okay?
Yeah,
and
sure.
what would happen is that person would also realize, okay, fine, there are people who have points. He may have forgotten in all his anxiety, and all his anxiety and the fact that aggression, assertion, he may have forgotten that there are other people. So you need to tell them there are other people and they are equally effective. Okay?
Okay.
Another thing that you could do over there is, when you start ending your points towards the conclusion of your point, you should look at somebody who has been trying to say, but like you, he has not got the chance. So what you could do, you could look like this way. Let us suppose the person is sitting to your right or your left. Okay, you could turn towards him through your eye contact. You could just say, I'm dropping my point now. You could begin from here. So what happens, there is always in the panel, there would be somebody who's watching the body language. So he sees you as a person who can assert. And now when you move your eye contact to the person who has been timid and not being able to represent his points, over there, he sees that you are a team player also. So with one bird, you are killing two. With one stone, you are killing two birds. You get the point for team play, and you get the point for assertion. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, Emma.
Thank you, dear. Pleasure. RC Patel College, RC Patel, RC Patel. Hello. I love the chaos there and the colorful presence of yours.
Yeah. Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
That if interviewer asked me any question and I didn't have any idea about it, then what is my reaction?
This would be the third time I'm going to answer the question on this forum, darlings. I have already answered this question. So if you have no idea, if you have absolutely no idea, tell the interviewer so, but tell him that you are ready to learn. But if you think that you have heard the term somewhere, you have heard the concept somewhere, right? And you can try answering the question. Many a times, it's not purely academics. It could have some social or economic ramification, and you may be good at it. So you could just tell him, there are two concepts. You could tell them, I will try answering the question. So is it possible? Could it be on these lines? Right? So if something has come to you regarding that question, share it in this way. So I am going to try, or ma'am, I'm going to try answering this. Could it be on these lines? So if he or she says, okay, go ahead with it. If he says, no, it is not that. In that case, you could just tell him, I'm so sorry, sir, I think I'd go back and look this up. Okay? Don't waste the time. Don't be dishonest, because those interviewers have been doing their job for ages now. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that satisfy you? Does that satisfy you, and will you do that?
Yes.
Okay, dear.
Yes, I am.
Okay, dear.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other question?
No.
I can hear so many voices. Tell those voices to ask questions.
Actually, ma'am, there are the events in our college.
Okay, 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 lovely. So enjoy it post our lecture, post our session. Thank you. Do we have any college? Achha. Well, there is one question from Anna University, our Tamil, from Anna University. Having a history of arrears is a big drawback while on interview. If yes, why it is? So, is it areas, A-R-E-A-S, or is it, well, I'll take it as A-R-E-A-S. So, having a history of areas is a big drawback while on interview. If yes, why it is? It has been spelled as A-R-R-E-A-R-S. So, Katie's, does he mean Katie's or? Okay. Okay, arrears. Okay, okay. Well, having a history of arrears is a big drawback while on interview. If yes, it is. Well, if you have mentioned it in the interview, you would need to let them know how you propose to pay it back. The salary which they would be giving to you will need to be seen whether it's conducive to the areas that you have piled up. So if not, then perhaps you are going for that organization for brand name and you would not stick with the organization, maybe a couple of months, maybe a few months into it. That would be the psychology of the interviewer, that maybe post a few months there, you would have the brand name out there and then you would move on to some other organization which would give you a better pay package and help you get rid of those arrears. So that is why if you have mentioned those arrears in the interview, well, you need to be on your feet regarding this question. You have to safeguard yourself from this question. I would say money should be the last thing in an interview when you are there. Money, whether you owe it to somebody, whether you don't owe it to somebody, these should be the last thing. Once you have established that trust, it needs to come. When you have established your credentials, and when you get that feeling that, okay, your experience is being respected out there and perhaps you would get the chance in that organization, it is then that you should work around these areas while negotiating. Immediately saying that you have a history of arrears and that is why you are looking for this job and this particular salary will not work would present you as a desperate person. So perhaps they would try to pull you down further. So interview is that formal session, students, participants. It is that formal presentation wherein every word spoken would lead to a question, would lead to an analysis. So just beware, just be calm, absolutely calm. You should not be nervous. No matter how stressed out you were or you are, you need to calm down. You need to have that sip of water even during the interview if you so wish to, but you need to be calm and you need to be well disposed out there. Thank you. Just one question. If my question leads to another, if my answer leads to another, you are free to put up the question once again. My YouTube viewers, this is for you. Yes, dear. Welcome. Madhvi.
I have a question.
Yes, dear.
What are the things we should know about organization before going to interview?
What are the things you should know about the organization? It would, one that you could actually know is the vision and the mission statement. It would be there on the web page. So go to their site, find out what the vision and their mission statement is. Many of these organizations put up a work ethics and a work culture also out there. read that briefly. And if you can find time, and if you know somebody from the organization, go meet the person or speak with them and try to find out what kind of a work culture do they promote. So if you know about these things, what kind of activity do they have? So do they have those on-site meetings, off-site meetings? How important is the team over there? How do they help in building up the team? What kind of exercises? If it is possible, because when you talk about these things in the interview, if you get the chance to talk about these things, if they ask you, why do you want to join our organization? You could say that learning is fun out here. I appreciate the values of team building. I appreciate the values of being in a team. And the way team is built, I spoke with my seniors, and the way the team is built here is fascinating. So now you know your answer. Okay, I have given it here, so it'll go viral. But then your answers should reflect your personality. Fine? And if you have read about these things, you can answer such questions well and creatively, more creatively. Okay? Madhvi, I'm so happy to see you every time. Thanks.
Yes.
Any other question? Yes, dear.
Ma'am,
Yes, dear.
I have a question that how much time do we have to explain each and every question, like detailed or short?
In the interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It would depend. Now, let us suppose, do not rush and do not unnecessarily elaborate. Okay? When questions related to your biodata, your personal life is being asked, keep it short and crisp. Okay? Keep it short and crisp. When it is academics, take your time. When they want you to narrate an incident which may have impacted your life, okay, go by the STAR technique. Thank you very much for this question, because I can talk about the STAR technique once again. Situation, what was the situation in which you acted? What was the task? What action you took? And what was the result? Okay? So the situation, task, action and result. So this is how you could frame this is around which you could frame your answers. Fine? But academics, yes, take your time. For the rest of them, it should be short and crisp. Try to pack in as much information you can, but before answering the question, you may take your time. Students, pause and silence are very effective tools. So if you have to pause for some time, don't feel nervous. Oh my God, I have paused. I have not been answering for such a long time. That long time, if you really time it, would only be 3 to 4 to 5 seconds. That is your time. Okay? So those 20 minutes or 10 minutes are your time. So take it and interact positively. Fine? Any other question?
Ma'am, do we need to use some technical terms like which is related to the technical side I am talking about? Do we need to use that terms, or do we have to explain in a language which they will understand?
Normally for an interview, there would be one person who would be from the technical side, there would be one person who would be a body language expert, and there would be one person who would know everything about everything, something about everything. Okay, so when it is a technical question, right, and it is imperative that you need technical words, you use technical words, use them, but don't unnecessarily create, you know, a kind of hullabaloo out there with these kind of words. But when it is a technical question, it has to be answered in a technical manner. Okay? What you could do is, if you feel that things are getting very technical, look at the other people for some time. So that breaks the, you know, the eye contact also. So you may not, it will not sound that you are staring at the person who has asked you the question. So look at them, create an internal summary of what you are talking for the benefit of those people, and then come back. So what happens is, over there, you are yourself relieved a little bit that you got someone else to look at. Fine. Those people will also get clued into what you are saying. Initially, it could be that while you are answering the technical question, the other two people or one people on the panel was busy writing something else or was not cued into what you were saying. But with this, you could also have them cued into your answer. Okay?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure, dear. Pleasure. Well, is the audio okay now? Is the audio okay now? What you could do is you could post the question through the chat. We cannot hear you. So please post the question through the chat. Write it down and post the question through the chat. Very interesting question, Dr. Pratima Shah. Any group discussion which takes place, is it competitive or cooperative? Because many theories say that GD is cooperative in nature. GD is group discussion, and be it for the selection process or for the company, it is the platform wherein we sit and discuss all sorts of theories. So if there is a topic, it needs to be evaluated from all points. So let us suppose there are 8 people. Their thinking would be different. The process of evaluation would be different. Their responses to that particular topic would be different. And every bit of it should be allowed on the platform of the GD. Some may sound absolute, like you may have the feeling that it is digression, but you never know. That particular point may set you all thinking in a different direction altogether. So the group discussion, be it for any purpose, has to be cooperative in nature. Within the group, what happens is we may have people aligning to some concepts. So when we align to form some concepts, teams emerge. Teams emerge which have different response to that particular topic. Now, it is very good. Now, this would be competition. At least the team has come to a conclusion wherein you need to evaluate that particular topic from 2 perspectives. So now there is competition. When there is competition, you would try to rip apart the other person's point of view. So when that ripping apart comes, you come across some very fascinating ideas and very fascinating points. I would ask you to read, if you have not already read, the 6 thinking hats. So whatever negativity and positivity is there will come out of this competition. And then once again we can sit together, all of us sit together and evaluate the points which has come, and again it would be a cooperation. So there is cooperation, there is competition, and then once again the final come out of the GD should be cooperation, because now we have discussed the idea from all sides, negatives, positives, environmental issues, legal issues, political issues, financial issues, everything would just come up when the 2 teams have emerged. So if we have to train students, if we have to train participants, for them GD has to be a cooperative process. Thank you. There is another question, Anushri Parkhi. Sometimes group discussions and group members tend to be mean and put you down. In such a situation, how do you reply back politely? Well, we need to train ourselves and others also not to be mean. It is not the person who is being debated. It is the idea which is being, and GD is, what happens is we think that it is a debate. GD is not a debate. First and foremost, GD is not a debate. So if we walk into the room thinking that GD is not a debate, we are going in for a group discussion. The moment we walk into the room thinking this, there is positivity all around. So even if I make a negative statement about the concept which other person may have said, bear in mind that it is the concept that I am trying to look into and not the person who has made that statement. So if you come across such a thing, what you need to do is master your body language, train your body language with a poker face, with a little, you could say, severe or authoritative face. You could just modulate your voice a bit and let the person know that we are here to discuss an idea and everybody has the right to make their own viewpoints. And we must respect them. I'm sure we all can get passionate about our statements and the causes, but it is imperative that to come out with something important, all of us need to respect one another's viewpoint. So just make that statement and then go ahead with it. Don't let it fester. And once you are out of the room, you could just tell the person. If the person does not come and say sorry to you, you can just tell the person, well, I'm sure we would like to be, on a friendlier platform next time. So the person would bear that in mind once you are there in a group discussion with him the next time. It doesn't pay to respond in a similar fashion. Authority, severity, voice modulation, your body language, all of these can do it. Dhruva Das, I had a gap of 2 years after class 12. Then I joined Polytechnic. After that, I joined BTech and I'm now in 2 years of BTech. How these gap will affect my career? They are definitely going to ask you a question on this. But if your grades in BTech are good, perhaps life is taken care of. You can always tell them what happened with you, why you did not take it. Were you preparing for some examination? What happened? Were you sick? Or did you wish to try out other things before you wanted to go in for Polytechnic? So write down an answer. Write it at least 3 or 4 times. The first draft should be whatever comes to your mind. Whatever comes to your mind, the fact, it could be whatever way you wish to present it. Redraft it and then go for a third draft. You would see that you have emerged with an answer. You know what? Many a times, the moment you would walk in, they would see the resume and they would begin the interview with that question. So when they ask you, tell me something about yourself, in fact, over there only, you could put a few words from there. That why you took a gap, what prompted you to take a gap, what necessitated that gap. So let them know just there, and then immediately post that, tell them about your achievement. So what you are doing, you are padding it. That okay, these things happen. And when you take it in the larger frame of today, the life expectancy is around 70, 80 years. So in that large scheme of life, 2 years, well, you are allowed to make mistakes. Okay? Do we have any? Which are we focusing on? Okay, should we take that first and then we'll go to? Okay, chat question is there. This is also the chat question? There's YouTube. Okay. So, okay, the question is, how will we answer to the expectation of the salary during the interview? Well, if they ask you the question, again, it would depend on how good your interview has been. So, if they make it necessary for you to say what your expectation is, well, I would say please find it out from the market and give the market rate. Today the world is very practical. So find out the market rate, find out what you're expecting, okay, and there has to be a bridge between the two, and quote that figure. The figure should be on the higher side a bit, okay, so that you don't end up feeling frustrated once you've joined. I would say you could just tell them, if they are not forcing you to give a number, you could say, well, I would appreciate if the firm gives me the best in the market. I have proved my credentials. I have been trying to prove my credentials, and I think I deserve the best, best rate which is in the market. So these two answers. Now, if you are an absolute fresher and you wish to join there, you could say that at this level, I'm looking at the learning process which is going to happen here. And I'm sure you would have evaluated me. I trust you, and I would appreciate if you could give the best that I'm due. So all these three things, the three things which I have said, could make an answer for you in the interview. Gauge the scenario out there and then work around. The next chat question would be, okay. How to solve core problems in GD, like members are not contributing and conflicts between the team members. You cannot take names. There are times when you wouldn't even know the names of the team members during the selection process. So over there, you do it through your eye contact. Every time you raise a question, every time you raise a point, you could end the conclusion of your point by looking at someone who has not contributed. Or you could pose your point, the question. You could end up the question by posing a question out there and letting it open-ended, letting other people answer those questions. So you could have loose-ended questions, open-ended questions that should be, I expect, that should be taken up by some of the reticent members of the group discussion, and that's how the group discussion would flourish. That is a very a question. Arvind Gavli, College of Engineering, Satara. The question is, during the interview, the HR said that, why should I hire you? What will be the expectation of the HR? This is the question in an interview, and you need to write things down about yourself. As I said, you could use the STAR technique over here. What do you think is the strongest point of yours? Where did you display that point? What task did you take to display that point? And what was the result? And how you could use that in the organization. So if you are practical enough to gel your academics with the projects and the kind of work you're looking for and you have done in the past, the HR should be impressed. Why do tasks and questions in any interview always relate to the educational background and not relate to the work base they actually do? No, that is not the case. Many a times, post-academics, they also look at your project and they wish to see how you have put that project into use. So let us suppose if it has been your luck that the questions have always been from the educational background. In the very introduction, mention that these are the areas of interest, and you have really worked around these areas before coming in for the interviews. You could just tell them that my area of interest is this, and we worked on a project like this, which I found very satisfying, simply for the reason, da. So give the reason. When you are talking about, tell me something about yourself, briefly, just put it there so that you open up the avenues for the questions. I have already answered this question, Ravi Raj Kadam. In many interviews, the question is asked that why we should select you. I just said you need to prepare an answer for it, and it should show your individual qualities. The person that you are, the personality that you are, and what would you bring on the table, and how you justify it. I don't know you, the HR doesn't know you, the interview panel doesn't know you. So something practical. If you put something practical on the table, they would buy it. Okay, if we are trying to say something and the interviewer is not in the position to hear what we are saying, how to manage it, though we have knowledge on that subject. Many a times, this could be a stress interview. A stress interview, we just call it a stress interview. If you don't allow stress to come in, the interview cannot be a stress interview. But yes, at times it so happens that before you have answered a particular question, there is a volley of other questions. So when there is a volley of other questions, take an upright position, look into the eye of the interviewer who has been giving you those questions one after the other, and with a gentle smile, just ask him, sir, well, I have just taken down these questions, so I have to answer. There are 3 questions over here. So should I take this question first and then proceed to the other questions? So now what you have done, you have just told the interviewer that you have asked me 4 questions and you have not given me the time. Right? So now the interviewer knows that, okay, fine, he wants to answer. He knows the answer, so let him answer. So let him know that you want to answer. Okay? Let us suppose even this does not work. So you could just be you could just show a little bit of emotion and tell him, sir, may I request you for just 2 minutes to answer this particular question. I know it. Because you know what happens if you don't answer? They would try to reject out there. So you have to risk that and risk it. Okay, yes, we can take the center. R.C. Patel. Okay, R.C. Patel.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, dear.
Ma'am, I have a question. The question is in the graded activity that we already solved. The question is like that: when faced with conflict at the workplace, with the options, 4 options. First, resolve it correctly. Second, resolve it through email. Third, escalate the issue to personal at higher level. And fourth, address the issue in personal with an object to resolve the problem. The answer is 4, but I think the answer is 3. But how the answer is 4?
What is the third answer?
Third answer is escalate the issue to personal at the higher level.
Okay. Do you have younger brothers and sisters at home?
No, ma'am.
Do you have juniors in college?
Yes.
Right? And a junior comes and tells something to you. Okay? Would you take, and you do not like it, would you take it immediately to the highest professional? Would you take it to the principal? Would you go straight to the principal or the dean of the college and tell him, listen, Mr. Dean, this girl or this boy, would you do that? Would you escalate?
No, ma'am.
Did you get the answer?
Yes.
You got the answer? You know, personal relationships are created. Personal relationships are created with these little activities. Okay? You must try resolving things at the personal level first and then see what you can do, involving other people who could be their friends, their mentors. It's only, you know, when things just doesn't work out any which way that you should try going to the higher ups. Because all of you are in the learning process, okay? And tomorrow you could be in the same team.
Yes.
And tomorrow you may have made the same mistake. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure, dear. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, okay. One more thing, darlings. One more thing. May I suggest? Right? All of you wish to improve your communication skills. Promise to me that when you are in college, you are in college for 4 to 5 hours a day, right?
Yes.
Initially, begin with half an hour. Half an hour when you are together, you would talk in the language in which you wish to participate in an interview, the language which you wish to master. Okay, so you gave me the answer. You gave me the answer. Okay, so and allow the others to tell you what mistakes you are making. Fine? Half hour,
Yes, ma'am.
1 hour, promise that to me. Fine? You will do that. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have been getting several questions on the salary part. What to answer if the interviewer puts a question regarding what salary do you expect and why should we hire you? We've already said why should we hire you. You need to tell them, you need to bring out. Over there, you get the chance to showcase your talent. But it should be done in such a manner that they buy it. So present a scenario and how you tackled it. That would differentiate. Your story would be different from someone else's story, and that would establish whether your personality, in your personality trait, it is the integrity, ethical concerns, honesty, whatever is there, which makes you, which sums you up. Fine? So that should constitute why should we hire you. The salary question, I gave you 3 points. The first one was, you could just tell them, this is if you are a fresher and if it is a big brand, you could just tell them you are beginning your career with such a massive brand where you know your learning would be fantastic. So you are looking at the learning process, and because you are a brand who teaches to value other person's knowledge, you are sure you would give the best, offer the best in the market to the person. That is beating around the bush a bit. Okay, that also goes to show that you are interested and salary wouldn't make you, go for some other job. Second, you could directly tell them the figure that you want, because that is also taken up as valuing yourself, right? And the third is, you could just tell them whatever you think is the best in the market, because when I come to work for you, I should not feel frustrated. I should not feel that someone else is getting a salary higher than me for the same job. So I wouldn't like to begin my career feeling frustrated in an organization which is known for its pupils, skill and people handling. Friends, any other question? Okay. In an interview, do we wait for the panel to ask for our portfolio or present it by ourselves? Both ways works. So if wait for some time, if they don't ask you, if it is not a very thick folder, okay, wait for some time, wait for a few seconds, and then pass it on to the panel. Okay? Same goes with whether you should sit down without asking or you should wait for them to ask. If they have not asked you to sit down, wait for a couple of seconds, few seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, and then ask them if you could make yourself comfortable, if you could sit down. What is the ultimate use of an aptitude round in an interview, and how will it help us in the workplace? Aptitude round. Aptitude is to test your aptitude. Attitude leads to your altitude, right? So the aptitude is merely to filter out people who are over there participating with you in the interviews. So it could be that whatever you have learned, whatever you may have learned as part of your academics, how relevant it would be for their organization. There could be two ways to test your aptitude. One could be purely academic, which would work if you're going for your MTech or your GRE. So there it would be purely technical. But if it is a mix of everything, they are trying to find out your suitability to their job profile. So if you do not make the cut, don't feel restless about it. Maybe there were some questions where within the attitude itself, within the aptitude itself, they were trying to test your attitude. It is important because most of you in a college would be around the same level of GPA, and that is why it becomes important. Yes. There's another question, and we are now. Hello, ma'am. I have a question that when faced with conflict at workplace, always options are resolve it correctly, resolve. I think we have already answered this question. Well, friends, it's really been a privilege to meet all of you in the face-to-face interaction number 3. I hope whatever discussions, I hope the discussions we had today is going to impact your lives, and you are going to practice whatever you learned today in this session. Group discussion, interview skills, and resume writing, they are extremely important, and they are important all throughout your life. These are not just workplace communication. You enter into a discussion everywhere. When you meet a person, it begins like, it seems like an interview. For the first time, when you meet somebody, it seems like an interview. So the crux of all these things is to be confident about yourself, to be courteous, to be knowledgeable, and to try working in a team while enhancing your individual skills. I wish you the very best, and I want you to make promises to yourself that you would work around the areas we have mentioned today. And we are there for you. You could post questions on the chat and the discussion forum, and we'd always answer them. Thank you very much. Have a good day.